going to do one of the quicker videos I've done in a while, mainly due to the fact that I have already finished the class, but I do need to have this created for a couple students who missed class today. So if you are watching this today, it is because you missed class, and I know that you did it for reasons. So this is not me being judgmental at all. This is me being tired, cold, and grumpy, if anything, right now, because it's rainy and it's cold out there, and I don't want to. I just want to cuddle up with the dog and have nice warm hot cocoa or something. But anyway, we'll make this quick. We're looking at dyslexia and specific learning disabilities today. So let's get into it. Okay, so the big stuff we're looking at is, what is dyslexia? Here is a little thing here where you have to do a read this activity. Try your best to read that. After that, there is a video here about what is dyslexia. I am not going to turn on that video and record the whole thing. If you wish to go onto the slideshow in my slides, please do. There is good information as to exactly what is dyslexia within this video. But like I said, I am trying to do this a little more quickly. So please watch that video if you are using this as your makeup for the class. How do you know I have a learning disability? Maybe you have a teaching disability. Very accurate statement, I would agree. There are certain things that we as teachers are supposed to be doing in order to help our students with disabilities, and understanding exactly what dyslexia is and specific learning disabilities is important. Reading comprehension, according to International Reading Association, 95% of textbooks and 93% of teachers teach comprehension through vocabulary. They find the words a child has difficulty with, teach them those words, then assume they will be able to understand the story. The theory is that if you're able to understand every word in a passage, then you'll be able to understand the passage. Makes sense, right? Is it true? Do you know all the words in this list? Are you able to define them for me? Please define the word ARE right now. Can you define R? I've taken lots of English courses over the course of my life, but even I have a difficult time trying to define exactly what R is. How about if? How about set? How about no? What do those exactly mean? Can you define them? Does it make sense to you? How about this? This is a passage from Basic College Math, a college math book written by M. Michael Michelson in 1945. If the known relation between the variables consists of a table of corresponding variables, the graph consists only of the corresponding set of isolated points. If the variables are known to vary continuously, one often draws a curve to show the variation. Do you agree? Would you like to take a quiz on that? Are you a math major? Do you have your doctorate in mathematics or algebra or whatever, statistics, whatever? I don't. I know what those words mean. Do I know exactly what was just said? Nope. Comprehension has much more to do with experience background than vocabulary. We cannot assume that because a person understands every word in a passage that they will understand that passage. How about this? Read this silently while it is being read aloud. Last Cerny, Fingeldope, and Pribben were in the Nerdlink, treppering gloopy caples and claiming burly greps. Suddenly, a ditty strezzle boofed into Flingeldope's trusk. Pribben glaped and glaped. Oh, Flingeldope, he chiffed, that ditty strezzle is tuning in your grep. When did this take place? Well, it just says right there, last Cerny. Who was with Flingeldope? Pribben. Where were they? They were in the Nerdlink, and they were treppering somewhere. What were they treppering? Where is that? I bet you if I look at it, I can find. In the Nerdlink, treppering gloopy caples and claiming burly greps. That's what they were treppering. Does that mean anything? In the first story, you understood every word and couldn't answer a question. The second, you have no idea what it's about, but you can respond to all the questions. Comprehension is a very complicated task. A client or new employee needs direct instruction. Here we see a little slide about dyslexia in the brain. This image shows that while the man with dyslexia has somewhat of a less well-developed left brain connections, his Broca's area is enlarged and the parieto-temporal and occipito-temporal are underdeveloped. I'm sure I misstated how those words are exactly said. I am not a biotechnician or whatever have you. I'm not a brain scientist or nuclear rockets or whatever have you. I'm tired. That's all I got to say. But here's what it is. The be-all, end-all is that dyslexia, people who have dyslexia typically have some things going on with their brain that is beyond their control. Here is a link in the slides for the new dyslexia guidelines for how California attempts to do things as educators. We'll talk a little bit about that. AB 1369, we're going to get into a little law here, the Fraser Bill. Existing law provides students with dyslexia meet IDEA criteria, such as specific learning disability, SLD, are entitled to special education related services. Schools have to develop guidelines to identify and assess students with dyslexia and to plan, provide, evaluate, and improve educational services for students with dyslexia, and must include phonological processing in the description of basic psychological processes. What do we need to do? When a student is identified as SLD for reading, dyslexia, we need to be able to defend what you are doing and why. Example, Kelly lacks fluency when she reads. She never developed automatic word recognition. We are using Read Naturally to address this. What can we do as educators? Well, one of the things we can do, whoever's missing this class, is you're going to need to go into the slides and you need to click on either the middle school, high school link right here, if you're a middle school or high school teacher, or if you're an elementary school teacher, you can click on this link right here. You got a couple of really nice articles there that gives you a lot of good information and things you can use for students who have dyslexia. So if you're watching this video to make up the course, get into the slides, click on one of those links, depending on what grade you're teaching right now, to find information on things you can do as an educator for students who have dyslexia. If you're an education specialist, in order to do well with your students who have dyslexia, you better gain a better understanding of exactly what dyslexia is. You should work with your school psychologist to understand the assessments and assessment results that address your students' phonological processing. You should choose a research-based intervention for your students. You should monitor your students' progress using a research-based assessment. And if at the elementary level, work with our school teams to enhance or develop an RTI system that finds struggling readers early. The earlier you find struggling readers, the better the results are for them as they grow older. Classroom teachers collaborate with education specialists, provide accommodations and modifications, create universally designed educational opportunities, and provide early intervention reading instruction for any struggling reader. Again, if you are watching this video to make up a missed class, go into the slides and click on right here where it says evidence-based explore. It brings you to this GraphoGame website. This is a great website. There is lots of different materials for you to use to explore with yourself or with other students in order to help them and help yourself get better at teaching students who have dyslexia. Lots of great research stuff there. Lots of great resources. I cannot stress that enough. Click that. You'll find some things there that are definitely useful for you as a first or second year teacher. Specific learning disabilities, SLD. Children identified with SLD has decreased 20% over the course of time. Early intervention reading programs aimed at all students are credited with this decrease. Again, why it's important if you're in elementary school to recognize when a student might have a specific learning disability or any disability, early intervention helps. What does it mean to see SLD on an IEP? Here's an umbrella. Lots of different things there that fall under a specific learning disability. Not very specific, is it? Common types of learning disabilities that fall under the SLD category. dyslexia, dyscalculia, I hate that word, dysgraphia, dyspraxia, auditory processing disorder, visual processing disorder. Here we see what those exactly mean. Difficulty processing language, difficulty with math, difficulty writing, difficulty with fine motor skills, difficulty hearing differences between sounds, difficulty interpreting visual information. And here we see how that shows in a student, okay? So someone who has dyslexia typically has problems reading, writing, spelling, speaking. People with dyscalculia typically have challenges doing math problems, understanding time, using money, so on and so forth. If you want to pause this to read those, you're welcome to do so. SLD is a disorder in one or more of the basic psychological processes involved in understanding or in using language, spoken or written, that may manifest itself in an imperfect ability to listen, think, speak, read, write, spell, or do mathematical calculations. What SLD is most definitely not, it is not due to new language needs or socioeconomic factors or lack of schooling. You do not want to misdiagnose someone as SLD whose first language is not English. That is a common mispractice that some people do, that it does need to be addressed. So if someone has English as not their first language, you should be double checking to make sure that you have things in order, okay? Socioeconomic factors, same thing, or lack of schooling, homelessness. If a student is homeless, that does not mean that they have an SLD. It might mean that they just need to have some catch up in school. Things to consider. Learning disabilities often run in families. That happens a lot. Learning disabilities should not be confused with other disabilities such as autism or traumatic brain injuries. Attention disorders such as ADHD often occur at the same time, but the two are distinctly different. It is very often where I will see a student's IEP and it says specific learning disability as the primary disability. You might have some sort of auditory processing disability or dyscalculia or dyslexia, whatever have you. And then on the secondary disability, it says OHI, which is typically means ADD or ADHD. That happens a lot, but they are completely distinctly different. Students who struggle with reading disabilities often have difficulty with all written symbols. Pedro's Whale, Pedro's Story, Read Story 2 group. So if you wanted to read this, okay, in the slideshow, in the notes, there is a YouTube video. You copy, you paste, you put that YouTube video right here, and you hit return. And we have a very happy Mrs. Benson reading Pedro's Whale. Please watch that video. It is very quick. Pedro's Whale is a child story about Pedro and his whale. Henceforth, why it is called Pedro's Whale. You will need to watch this video in order to complete the assignment that goes hand in hand with Pedro's Whale. So please watch that YouTube video. And Pedro's Whale is written by Paula Kluth and Patrick Schwartz. They also made another book called Just Give Him the Whale. But for the purposes of this assignment, watch that YouTube video that I shared, all right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to pick Group 5 here. If you are making up this assignment, I want you to do the Group 5 assignment here, all right? So you need to go to the slideshows and click on Group 5 here. And when you do that, it'll take you to this, where it will explain the directions for the assignment. I have assigned you Group 5, okay? And in Group 5, you're looking at to inspire career ideas and to encourage risk-taking. You're going to create a slideshow, as seen here in the assignment, discussing these things. It is pretty self-explanatory. You will find it right there, okay? So, that is your assignment for the Just Give Him the Whale assignment, all right? And then you are done. Much of the class today was looking at those articles I pointed out, looking at that website that I pointed out, getting the tools you need in order to help students with dyslexia as much as possible, and then the Just Give Him the Whale assignment. If you are making up this assignment, please send me a slide with that assignment for the Just Give Him the Whale assignment. And then on the YouTube video here, if you're able to do so, give me some comments on my YouTube video where the YouTube comment section is, giving me 3 comments saying what you liked about the video. So you should look at the slideshow that I showed. You should look at that website that I showed. You should look at the videos that I showed and bring up some of those ideas so that I know you watched this really quick bad video that I made that I did because it is the last class and I need it done. Okay? Anyway, love you all. Hope this was helpful. And please let me know if you have any questions. Ending my recording now.